Hello everybody, and I am here to react to chapters 7, 8 and 9 of Wind and Truth, the 5th book in the Stormlight Archive series by Brandon Sanderson. So if you want my reactions to previous episodes, previous chapters within this book, then I'll have the first one linked up here, and there's a playlist that has all of them in them as well. Disclaimers to start off with. I will of course be spoiling what happens in Wind and Truth, as well as what potentially, depending on its relevancy, I will be spoiling events taking place in the previous books within Stormlight Archive, potentially even within the entirety of the Cosmere. So, that's being said, let's just dive into it. Chapter 7, 8 and 9, once again, Shallan and Kaladin chapters, so these are the only two perspectives I feel like we will have for the entirety of part 1. So both Shallan and Kaladin are actually starting to prepare to go off on their next journey. So Shallan is getting ready together with Adolin to get out of Shadesmar and return to Outtro, whereas Kaladin is getting ready to leave Outtro in order to go off on his adventure with Zets. So in Shallan's first chapter we basically see her preparing. There's some banter between her and Adolin about the fact that he needs to transport all of his swords and his horse, and that they cannot just leave behind and take the long way, but they're absolute priorities for Adolin to take with them instantly. And then there's some conversation between Shallan and the Herald Kellic about the idea that she might be able to make her illusions more than just illusions, that maybe her illusions can actually take a real shape. I don't think that there's much to this chapter. It's probably also the reason why this weekly installment had 3 chapters to it, because I think all 3 of these chapters are relatively short, so it's really just a little bit of a send-off episode, so a send-off chapter. Meanwhile, Kaladin is also getting ready. He is saying goodbye to the bridge crew, and David, guys, there is an honor spren stalking David. So justice for David. David will get his spren. I'm still gonna be salty about the fact that it isn't the sibling. That made perfect sense to me, for the sibling to bond with David, but okay, fine. If we have to settle for a different spren, then that is perfectly fine by me. The fact that there is also some sort of conversation about what the impact of bonding to a spren would mean for David and his sort of condition, because he's seen as somebody who is a little bit more slow on the uptake, he needs more time to process information and stuff like that. The fact that that is kind of in talked about and said that, David will have some sort of an input on what he wants happening there, makes me somewhat hopeful that we're not really going to do much with that. That it isn't going to be the case that David will all of a sudden be I don't know, the fastest tool in the shed or whatever. I am hoping that his spren will kind of be his sort of the tool that he uses to help him figure stuff out quicker. That it'll be sort of an aid to him rather than the bond fixing everything. That just, through his interaction with the spren, he can more quickly process information, and that, it's just a matter of a perfect match rather than a cure type of situation, as we've seen with other physical ailments throughout the series so far. But so that's the highlight for these 3 chapters, is just seeing that there's an honor spren tracking David. I'm just yay, David to become a Radiant. Yes, absolutely here for that. And so aside from that, we just see him kind of talking with a few of the bridge crew, as he of course still has a lot of love for Bridge 4, as that is his origins within this company. But I wouldn't say that there's too much new information being passed in that scene. We do see that, he has asked Leighton to prepare his sort of pack for him for his travels, and that he has put some personal effects of Kaladin in there, but then it turns out that there's also some sort of a rock that is has made its way in there, and I'm pretty sure that that will be Zetz's rock, because otherwise I don't really know what rock we could be talking about, nor why Cal was like, yeah, definitely just leave it in there, don't get rid of it. And then Shallan and Adolin are being attacked on their way to Outtro by a crew of like what are they called? Heavenly blessings or something like that. I don't know. The scouts of the enemy, who either like it's implied that it's really like a surprise attack, that they don't really know why they are patrolling over there, but maybe they weren't patrolling. Maybe they actually know where Shallan and Adolin are. Maybe this is a targeted attack. If not, if it is to do with the place where they are, then maybe it has something to do with the sort of like cave type of place where Shallan ends up being in, because then Shallan ends up kind of having to dive into the Sea of Beads because Adolin falls down from his horse, and so she wants to help save Adolin, and so she has to go into the Sea of Beads at some point in time, and then she's kind of in some sort of a cave section, and maybe there's more to this cave than it just being there for like description purposes, but we'll have to see about that in future episodes. So far all that's really happened is that she's basically just said like some more words, so she's shared some more sort of like truths with Shallan. Most of her words aren't like promises or anything like that, which is what we see happening with the honor spread, is that they kind of have to make like these big statements of promise of what they shall or shall not do, whereas with Shallan it's always been about sharing truths, because a lot of Shallan's personality is built on lies, and so it's about sharing truths. And so she shares her fears in that moment, and that gives her the extra power to make one of her illusions physical. So I would say that there's not really that much to these chapters. So this is going to be a very short reaction, because I don't really have much to say about this. My sentiments are going to be exactly the same as they were at the end of the previous chapters, is that I want to see Cal and Zetz on the roads, and we're just like postponing it. I'm just like, come on, get on the road, get going. Because I've also seen that like I only have like 4 more chapters, so 2 sessions of 2 chapters before we get to the first sort of like interlude. So we're very close to like the end of part 1, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to like. Typically between parts we kind of leave some perspectives. I don't want to leave Cal's perspective, so give me some of Cal and Zetz now, or I'm gonna definitely need them in part 2 as well. We had a little bit of Cal and Zetz already in this chapter, but like really not that much. You just had some interaction between Cal and Zetz about getting ready, and then also some interaction with Cal and the sword. Nightblood, is that its name? I've forgotten its name. I'll have to look it up in Warbreaker for that. It will be easier there to look up its name again, I guess. But nothing too fun yet with that interaction, because Nightblood can be a fun character to interact with as well, but this was like still very meh. So yeah. That's just gonna be it. Hopefully next session there will be some more sort of like shocking stuff that happens for me to react to, but so far so good. Just like cruising along, and hopefully the setup will start to disappear and we'll get more into the real meat of this story. But so yeah, with that I'm gonna end this video. Hope to see you guys for the next one. Bye!